Hi, everyone. Kate Byers, founder of the Good Life Institute and creator of Corporate Women Unleashed. This is the third and final installment in our series of, the three mistakes that is really career mistakes that is costing us high achieving women time, freedom, and money. And the first one we talked about is that we're willing to make a trade-off. It is how we've been set up in our culture that, the working world is a quote unquote man's world, and we're lucky to be in it. So we're willing to make a trade-off between career and family because that was the option that many of us had. And that has us constantly proving ourselves, right? And so what we talked about in the very first installment of the series was you have to broaden your view of success across your life and say, I'm building an extraordinary life. And how I'm going to value success is, I'm going to be incredible in my career, but I'm also going to be incredible in my life. And when you start to broaden that and realize that that old framework you were given wasn't designed for us to be successful in both, then you have to break free of that framework, right? And so as long as you're willing to accept the trade-off, there will be a trade-off. What we talked about last time, is the fact that a lot of times our identity is tied up in our career. And so we see ourselves as successful women, and we know that we're here on earth to be someone who has impact and business women, but we're putting so much effort into tying our identity in, like I am my work. No wonder you never want to put your work down and play with your kids. No wonder you never want to put your work down and go do a workout. Because again, that identity is, this is who I am. I'm a businesswoman. And oh, by the way, I'll get to that other stuff later. And that creates a lot of psychological beliefs that then end up becoming decisions and habits in our workplace that then create the situation of course, you're going to be tied to your work because you are internally. And so that was the second thing, is removing that connection between identity and work. You can be an incredibly powerful businesswoman and not have your identity be tied up in your work. Okay. So what I want to talk about today is the third and final thing that's really, really important. And this is more endemic of highly successful women who are, and what I mean by that is driven, you're ambitious. You love your career. You love to work. Like for myself and a lot of the women we work with, our careers are our hobbies. I don't have a ton of hobbies. I don't have a ton of things I do. There's some things I do that I love to do, but I love to work. Work is creativity for me. It is, challenges me. It's problem solving. It's where I get to have impact. One of the ways I get to have impact and significance in my life, not the only way, again, because, I'm looking at myself as successful across my entire life, but it's important to me, right? And so when your career is more than just a means to an end, it's more than a paycheck, it's more than just something, that you do in order to, create, to have a life and to afford a life, then one of the things that's really, really easy to do is do what I call hold your breath and wait. And holding your breath and waiting for life to happen is so tragic. And I cannot tell you how long, I did it and have great regret about that. I can't tell you how many women we work with who have been, who are in their 50s and 60s and going, oh my God, like, I wish I'd done this 20, 30 years ago. I don't know whether I would have trusted myself to do it, but I wish I had. And one of my favorite things is now we're starting to work with more and more younger women who are just cresting, 30. And they're like, I've seen what it looks like to be 55 and, unhealthy, estranged from your kids, poor relationships, alone. I'm not doing that. I'm going to learn how to work as a woman and create my own path to success. I'm not going to adapt to the one that was given to me, but I'm sure as hell not going to make a trade-off. Oh, thank goodness for those girls. I'm so proud of you. Because I didn't know there was any other option, but nor did I go looking for it. And the reason is that I was willing, my identity was so tied up in my work that I was willing to take a lot on, right? So I was single parenting. I was the Girl Scout leader. My daughter and I had horses. We would ride at night. And so I was the one really paying a lot of the price in the sense that I was the one that went to work after, back to work after she went to bed. And I was the one who was walking around tired and in a daze. And I was the one who didn't have, time for my health or dating and things like that because I was putting so much into work. And then the rest of it I was putting into, raising my daughter. But so what I was doing was kicking my own well-being down the road, kicking the can, right? So it's like, well, maybe, well, whatever, you can take a personal, well, maybe when my daughter goes to visit her father for the holidays, well, I'll take a break then, and I did, it wasn't like I didn't rest or things, but, having a week here and there is not what we're talking about. That is not going to keep you operating at a peak level in these higher levels of your career where there's a lot of gray demands on you. There's no black and white. There's no easy answer. Everything is on you. You don't have a shoulder to lean on. And now you're not even giving yourself any ability to replenish because we're holding our breath after that project, after the kids go to bed, after we get to Saturday or the weekend, after we, these next 10 meetings, and you just cannot do that. Again, that is like buying into this paradigm that just isn't true anymore. Like when my dad went to work as an exec, he had my mom full-time at home, taking care of everything in an era when there was a lot less to take care of, right? So he could come home at 5 or 6 o'clock and just check out and be like, okay, I'm here for dinner, which he did, and then he went and he did a hobby. He had a workshop and he would go do woodworking. He belonged to like a men's club. Like he had different interests that he would do. And that was okay. Well, what we're trying to do is we're trying to have these huge careers that have a heck of a lot more stress than, in olden years. And then we're trying to come home and, whatever, make sure dinner got put together healthy and parent our kids and sign off on all the permission slips for school and, homeschool right now because everybody's homeschooling through whatever, COVID and stuff like that. I mean, it's just like, it's insane. And there's never that replenishment. And I saw my father come home and replenish himself. Now, he got up at the crack of dawn. He was at the office every, day at 7 a.m. and he worked until 5 p.m. He worked, a good 10-hour day. He got home at 5 o'clock. He went for a walk. He did his hobbies. He replenished himself. And again, there wasn't anything on him at home to do. I mean, yeah, occasionally he fixed a drippy sink and, not that he didn't do things around the house, but he wasn't coming home to parent. He wasn't coming home to clean the house. He wasn't coming home to make dinner. He wasn't coming home to go over homework with everyone. I mean, he would help us with those things, but you know what I'm saying? And as women, what we're trying to do is hold on and do all that stuff and be the executive and then wondering why we're not doing anything well and then wondering why we burn out. Okay. So if you're kicking things down the road and holding your breath, that just leads to burnout. And we're good at it because when you're ambitious and driven, your psychology is so used to handling very high volumes of stress, very high volumes of challenges and the tough stuff that you can go for years like this. You can go for years like this, but eventually it catches up. And I don't care if you're 38, 48, 58, at some point, your body and your biology is going to say, I don't care anymore. And all of a sudden you'll find yourself going, what's the point? I don't really care. And all of a sudden you think, oh, well, I guess I'm done. I just don't really care. You do care, but your body is now protecting you because it's like, hello, you're so unhealthy at this point, psychologically and probably biologically, that I got to protect you. So I'm just going to start creating a disassociation with this thing that you've loved so long. And that's what happened to me because I had been just going 80, or 100 miles an hour, 80 hours a week, managing everything all on my own, taking all the tough stuff on for myself for so many years, decades, that when I finally snapped, it was like, I don't really care about my job anymore. I don't care if they fire me. I literally was going into meetings and just like keeping my mouth shut and not even participating. I was like, I'm done. Just don't really care. Like I was just going through the motions, which obviously catches up with you, right? Your work sees that and they invite you out the door or, it really can mess with your reputation. It can mess with, your own efficacy and feeling good about who you are and what you're doing, because that's certainly not how we would want to exit any career. But that's what burnout feels like. And then what happens is there's this euphoria on the other side of it. You're like, yeah, I quit my job, or, they let me go. Thank God I got the package. And I don't really care. I'm fine. This is the best thing I ever did. And so what happens is a lot of times is then we leap into this simpler is better mentality, right? Which I think if it's a conscious effort to like say, no, I really do want a simpler life. This is too much. I no longer need the complexity of this life. I no longer need the trappings that come with this life. I want a simpler life. Great, do it, right? But that's not typically what happens. What typically happens is we hit a wall, we burn out, we walk away. Then we try to convince ourselves that we're so much happier having this simpler life, even though we're giving up, the mental challenges, we're giving up, obviously, money, we're giving up things that, were really meaningful to us. And we're trying to say like, no, this is really fun. Or what like a lot of the clients we work with is they have stepped back, but now, they're festering about the color of walls in their house or, having all of their clothing, a certain way, or, you know what I mean? Or becoming the best PTA president of their kid's school or whatever. And so you find that when you're a driven, ambitious person, you have to have something to constantly drive you. And that's why it's either going to be your identity tied to your work or your identity tied to being amazing at home. And you're constantly making these trade-offs. So the more you kick things down the road and you're not replenishing yourself, you're actually putting yourself inside the gilded cage. And God Almighty, I wish I had seen this and someone had told me this. Because what happens is you're depleting yourself, you're depleting yourself, you're depleting yourself, you're depleting yourself until eventually you're running out of options. And that's a trap. That's when you feel trapped. That's when you start to let go. That's when you start to not care anymore. And you're like, I just don't care anymore. I don't care if I blow up my whole career. I don't care if I blow up my bank account. I don't care if I blow up my marriage. I don't care if I blow up anything. Like you, at some point, you have to go into self-protection mode. And so it is incredibly, incredibly short-sighted to kick things down the road. Every day you should be finding joy. Every day you should be finding flow. Even when things get tough. We had a client a couple of weeks ago that life just hit her upside the head. Super tough challenges at work, the icky stuff none of us like to deal with. A lot going on at home. And here she is, she's just sort of getting her feet under herself with us and just starting to feel like she's got her arms around this thing called flow and control and freedom. And she's like, oh my God, now I'm tap dancing, right? But she did the smart thing, which is, I'm tap dancing, but I'm still going to not allow myself to be depleted. She changed up how she got it done, and that's unique to everyone, right? Because your life and your work is unique to you. But she still made sure that she had control, that she had flow, that she had freedom during the day, so that she did not allow herself to go back to that, let me just hold the breath until this horrible thing is over with, or this arduous thing is over with, or whatever. And then when I get to the weekend, and then what? When you get to the weekend, now you have family, now you have your home, now you have whatever, social commitments, community commitments. And then what happens is all that stuff gets pushed aside. And then we're like, oh, but I've had a tough week. So everybody's got to understand, and you try to replenish yourself, but it's not enough because it comes with such huge guilt that now we've canceled out on commitments. We're falling short of being who we want to be, right? People are tiptoeing around us because we've had a week. And I don't know about you, but that's not who I want to be. And it doesn't mean that I don't occasionally have a bad day. And I'm like, look, guys, I'm checking out of family time tonight. I just need a little, solo time. Sure, those things are going to happen from time to time, but those should be the exception, not the way we live. And like for me, that's the way I live. Like if mom was in a good mood, great. Mom must have had a good day. If mom was in a bad mood, watch out. Mom had a bad day. And it was like, I don't think I consciously was doing this, but I was like expecting my daughter just to have to roll the punches. That sucks. That sucks for her because you don't know who you're going to get. And I know like once I met my husband now and we married, he was like, I don't know who I'm going to get. I don't know who's going to walk in the house. Am I going to get corporate Kate or am I going to get Kate, my wife? And he's like, I don't want to be married to a two-headed, Jekyll and Hyde. He's like, I want to know what I'm going to get. And I'll tell you right now which one I'm picking. I ain't picking the corporate Kate who comes home and barks orders, is short, is snappy, is unemotional, is hard and edgy. He's like, I get you need to be that way sometimes, but not in this house. That was really tough. And so, those are those types of things that you have to go, is that really who I want to be? Do I want to keep running on empty in this it's like Atlas Shrugged, like this huge, this huge pile on your back, and you're the tough girl who's going to take it all on. I get it. I wore the badge too, but there's absolutely no sense of replenishment. And when you're not replenishing, you're not playing at your peak. When you're not playing at your peak, you are creating coping mechanisms to hide that from yourself and going, no, my marriage is good. It's good. We're good. I mean, we're better than them down the road, right? I mean, we're good. We're good. Or whatever, I mean, I did that. Or no, my health is good. I mean, it's, I still fit in my pants. I mean, it's like, I mean, I could probably, lose a couple pounds, but I'm good. No, it's good. Right? That's not living an extraordinary life. That's like coping. That's making excuses. And that's what we do. That's what we do. And so girls, you got to stop that. You have to say, wait a minute, what do I really want in life? What kind of marriage do I want? What type of, relationship do I want to have with my kids? What type of relationship do I want to have with my work? What type of money do I want to make? What type of position do I want to have? What type of impact do I want to have? What type of, time to myself do I want to have? What do I want to do at that time? What type of person do I want to be? What type of human and woman do I want to be? And am I being that person? And that look in the mirror stinks. It's uncomfortable, right? But when you get that look in the mirror and you stop trying to say like, it's all good, it's fine, it's fine. This is just who I am. Okay, well, great. Well, how about you change who you are? You evolve who you are. I mean, I know you're great, but why not evolve it and get what you really want? And that is putting a stake in the sand and saying, I'm not going to kick this down the road. And I did it. And I even had a great, a very sad, story in the sense of my mom. She passed away when she was 57 from cancer. I mean, anyone shouldn't have kicked their life down the road. It should have been me, because I saw point blank what happens when you do that. And I saw my mom die at a very young age. I didn't really think that I was putting things down the road, though, because here I had this international career and I was traveling, look at me, I'm traveling. Isn't that what most people want to do? I was raising a beautiful daughter who I was very proud of. Look at me, I'm a mom. Isn't that what most people want to do? So I was kind of fooling myself in that I had, let's just say, pieces of the life I wanted, but the way they came together was like this, like they weren't like coming together nice and smooth. It was like, it was like this constant friction, tension, tap dancing, shucking and jiving, weaving and ducking. And then always just in this depleted state of exhaustion and emotional fervor and being tense. And then I'd relax a little bit and I'd be like, no, I'm really fun and soft. I'm a nice person. And then I'd be like a tiger lady again. And then, it was this constant sort of in motion. And it just got exhausting after a while. And that's what happens when you kick it down the road. So you've got to stop holding your breath. You want to be refilling your cup daily, even in small bits when life is crazy, making sure that you are very clear on how to create yourself as a priority. It doesn't mean when we say priority that you are selfish. And it doesn't mean that you tell everybody else to bugger off while you take care of you. It means that you are constantly in the mix. I am part of the priorities of my day. I may not be able to attend to myself first thing in the morning. Sometimes I do, sometimes I'm not. It's like, I'm just aware of, yep, I need to go do this thing now. I got to do this for me. And just even taking control of that, you would be amazed at what that does. Like, people don't understand how regenerating it is just to make decisions on your own behalf. Instead of, as women do, we make decisions and we're constantly giving outwardly to everyone else, fixing everything else, handling all the tough challenges. To actually give inwardly is amazing. Not only does it feel amazing, but that's where you start to experience flow. That's where you start to experience peak performance. It's just like an athlete. An athlete can't just like go to the top of the mountain and ski and then throw themselves down the ski hill and never get a massage and, never put healthy food in their mouth and never, get a good night's sleep. Or, who does that? Nobody would. They certainly wouldn't ever be in the Olympics. And eventually what happens is that athlete's body's going to break down, their psychology is going to break down, and they're going to get hurt, right? And that's what happens. That's what burnout is, right? It's just more psychological for someone who's a business person. Physical as well, because then you see autoimmune and all sorts of things creep in. But in general, it's that psychological break more so than what you would see on the athletic side, which would be, more of a physical as well as psychological break. So I hope that makes sense. So girls, Like, stop buying into what's been given to you and create your own path and make sure that you are an important component of it, because you can be ambitious, you can get a lot done, you can be incredibly influential and valuable, and you can get yourself in the mix. But as long as you don't put yourself in the mix and you continue to hold your breath and wait to live some other time down the road, no one else is going to give you an invite. Promise. Ever. So you got to do it for you. Cool. All right. This is wraps up our series, guys, of all three. I hope you've enjoyed this. If you have, and there's some other topics that you'd like to chat about, put it in the comments below. We're here to help. We're here to make sure that there is no woman who goes suffering for her success. It's really important that we start changing the paradigm and work differently and operate differently in our careers. And check out some of the stories from our clients. There's hundreds of them. It's amazing what you can do without changing your job, without changing your bosses, without walking away from an incredible career. You can live extraordinarily well. And